cozying up to dictators, beating up co-stars, and a laughably bad hosting gig. Steven Seagal may have won legions of admirers for his explosive action films, but his jerky behavior off-screen has earned him few fans. It's safe to say that Steven Seagal's once formidable martial arts skills have diminished over the last couple decades. As a result, the action sequences in his direct-to-video fare have become questionable at best. His fight scenes may have hit their low point with a climactic sequence in 2016's Code of Honor, which pitted Seagal against former One Tree Hill actor Craig Sheffer in a rooftop slap fight that was unintentionally hilarious. When Seagal is actually visible on screen, he spends half the time looking like he's trying to calm down an unruly dog, and the other half looking exhausted. When the scene cuts to a shot of the combatants in silhouette, the action becomes slightly more intense, because quite obviously, this is when Seagal's visibly slimmer stunt double has taken over. The scene becomes even more comical when Seagal and Sheffer suddenly produce matching hunting knives from out of nowhere. Seagal even waves his around menacingly, like a child who just found a particularly cool-looking stick on the playground. It's a sequence that can't disguise Seagal's profound limitations as a contemporary action star, but in his defense, he barely tries.
That was a nice touch, man.
Seagal has been known to be a bit of a tough interview subject, particularly when the interviewer suggests he's not a respected figure in the worlds of martial arts or entertainment. The action star has also been known to have harsh words for interviewers who fail to keep their lines of questioning sufficiently reverent. But when the topic of multiple sexual assault allegations against the actor was broached in a 2023 BBC interview, Seagal responded in the opposite fashion. That is to say, with no words at all. It should be noted that over the years, Seagal has been accused of improper conduct by many of his acting peers, including Pamela Anderson and Jenny McCarthy. Those allegations have never been litigated, but when interviewer Kirsty Wark brought them up, Seagal declined to declare his innocence. Instead, he simply removed his headset and left before Wark could even finish getting the words out of her mouth.
Steven Seagal there.
In 2004, Seagal tried his hand at music and released an LP, Songs from the Crystal Cave. The album was a wild mishmash of genres, styles, and questionable lyrics that thankfully never got an official release in the United States. It also boasted a surprisingly robust roster of collaborators, including a guest appearance by music icon Stevie Wonder. But the collaborators couldn't do much for Seagal's lyrics and singing, which ranged from middle of the road to blindingly awful. Seagal followed the album up 2 years later with a sophomore effort, Mojo Priest, which garnered even less attention. To state the obvious, Russian President Vladimir Putin is not a nice guy. He rules his country with an iron fist, invades neighboring countries, and is by any measure a full-blown war criminal. However, that hasn't stopped some misguided individuals from admiring him. Among them is Steven Seagal. That action star has publicly admitted that he has been friends with Putin for a long time and considers him to be one of the greatest leaders in the world. The feeling is apparently mutual. In 2016, the actor was granted Russian citizenship, and in 2023, Putin awarded him the country's Order of Friendship, which honors those who have worked to improve international relations with Russia. During an event following the ceremony, Seagal slammed the United States government for spreading what he called disinformation and lies about Russia, saying, "Over half of the people in America actually love Russia and love Russians, and know that they're being lied to." Seagal even attended Putin's latest inauguration in 2024, and in a documentary released that year, flatly stated he would, quote, "die if need be for his buddy."
You're hanging around with the wrong people.
The late judo master Gene LaBelle is a martial arts and Hollywood legend who allegedly humbled Seagal on the set of 1991's Out for Justice. LaBelle was working as a stunt coordinator on the film when Seagal allegedly told him his Aikido training made him impervious to chokeholds. The star then said he'd be willing to demonstrate this ability with LaBelle's help. LaBelle obliged, putting Seagal in a hold, which allegedly caused the actor to pass out, then soil himself. LaBelle never confirmed or denied that this took place. The closest he ever came was during an interview with MMA journalist Ariel Helwani, telling him, "We had a little altercation or difference of opinion. There were 30 stuntmen and cameramen that were watching. Sometimes Steven has a tendency to cheese off the wrong people, and you can get hurt doing that." Still, one of LaBelle's most prominent students, MMA fighter Ronda Rousey, was quite convinced of the story's authenticity, as she told Bleacher Report in 2012.
"I would beat the crap out of Steven Seagal. I had to make him crap his pants a second time."
Once again, interviews have never been Steven Seagal's strong suit. but one sit-down in 2014 stands as a particularly egregious example of his unwillingness to answer even basic questions. During a conversation with Shortlist, Seagal constantly presented himself as a picture of discipline and restraint, while offering curt and dismissive answers to most of the questions posed to him. Two queries in particular, though, caused him to veer into outright hostility. The first pertained to whether he thought the violence in films such as On Deadly Ground took away from their social messaging. Seagal responded, "I don't care about doing this interview. I really don't. So if the questions are going to be like that, I probably won't continue. I'm telling you, I don't really love the tone so far." After falling back to some even softer questions, the interviewer asked Seagal if he had any regrets about his forays into direct-to-video fare. Seagal said the question was steering the conversation into a very provocative area before cutting the interview short.
You still dangerous?
In 1996, John Leguizamo co-starred with Seagal in the action film Executive Decision, and the experience wasn't pleasant for Leguizamo. During an interview on Q with Tom Power, the actor recalled how Seagal told everyone in the cast that he was in charge and that his word was the law. The action star then asked if anyone had a problem. Unable to hold back his laughter, Leguizamo snickered, a response that Seagal didn't like. Leguizamo revealed what happened next.
He taekwondo'd my ass against the brick wall. Went, he's 6'5" and caught me off guard, knocked all the air at me. I was like,
Leguizamo is apparently a man who can hold a grudge, because over a quarter century after the incident, he got revenge on Seagal. In an interview with Comic Book, he revealed that he based his character in 2022's The Menu on his one-time nemesis. Leguizamo told the outlet, "I was playing a washed-up action star, so I thought he was perfect for it." We can all agree that cockfighting is a cruel sport and that people who engage in this activity should go to jail. In the case of Jesus Llovera, who later pleaded guilty to cockfighting-related charges, it wasn't his sentence that stood out, but the circumstances of his arrest. Llovera's home was in Maricopa County, Arizona, which fell under Seagal's jurisdiction as a sheriff's deputy during the third season of his A&E reality show Lawman. But the forces and resources used during Llovera's arrest were excessive, to say the least. In addition to a ridiculous number of armed officers, Sheriff Joe Arpaio employed a phalanx of armored vehicles. One of those vehicles can only be described as a tank, which Seagal literally drove through the wall of Llovera's house.
No matter how great our deputies are, there's always going to be areas that are problematic.
In a subsequent lawsuit, Llovera claimed that over 100 roosters and a puppy were killed in the raid. The lawsuit went nowhere, but did prompt Seagal to issue a statement which read, "I've been called a lot of things in my career, some of them not so kind, but to be labeled an animal abuser is beyond the pale." In Tibetan Buddhism, one of the highest titles one can receive is that of Tulku, which is someone who is believed to be the reincarnation of a past Buddhist master. Those who receive the title are generally lifelong practitioners, often monks or teachers. Then there's Steven Seagal, who was bestowed the title in 1997 by the head of the Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism. Bestowing this honor on an American movie star was seen as controversial at the time, and the controversy hasn't gone away. It has even been alleged that Seagal's financial contributions to the school and its head, Enor Rinpoche, may have played a part in his being given the title. This, of course, has been denied by all parties involved. Nonetheless, the honor has long been tough to swallow for both devout Buddhists and Hollywood types. In a blog post, Rinpoche defended his decision and denied any accusations of impropriety, writing, "My concern is with the qualities I experienced within him which relate to his potential for benefiting others and not with the conventional details of his life, which are wholly secondary." Among the many actors who have stories about Seagal's on-set behavior is Tom Arnold, who worked with the star on the 2001 thriller Exit Wounds. Arnold has told the same story a variety of times, and the details never vary. During a scene being shot on a boat, Seagal refused to run through a rehearsal, which would have clued him in as to which of the two doors he was supposed to walk through. So when the time came to shoot, Seagal promptly went through the wrong door, which opened directly onto the clear blue sea. As a result, Seagal took an impromptu dunk. In a 2023 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Arnold revealed that Seagal wasn't pleased that he had been telling the story for so many years. In fact, Seagal was convinced that someone was paying Arnold to tarnish his reputation. Arnold told the outlet, "If he had a sense of humor at all, he'd know that everybody I do movies with, I do a story. You don't have to pay me to tell stories. The problem with him is he's got so many."
I still know a thing or two.
A lot of folks have been banned by Saturday Night Live for being controversial or going against the show's standards. But Steven Seagal stands out as the only host who was banned for being an unfunny jerk. His 1991 hosting gig is widely regarded as the worst in the show's history. It wasn't just that Seagal behaved like an abrasive prima donna toward the rest of the cast, he also seemed to have been born without a funny bone. Cast members of the era, such as David Spade and Dana Carvey, have all recalled how Seagal pitched shockingly awful sketch ideas and refused to be the butt of any joke. In Tom Shales and James Andrew Miller's book Live from New York, An Uncensored History of Saturday Night Live, cast member Tim Meadows perhaps put it best, saying, "The biggest problem with Steven Seagal was that he would complain about jokes that he didn't get. You can't explain something to somebody in German if they don't speak German." Seagal was even proclaimed the worst host ever by producer Lorne Michaels and was ultimately barred from ever hosting the show again. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.